Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that I think, well, every single person listening has probably struggled with, maybe even in the last 24 hours.
Oh, for sure.
It's that paralyzing feeling when you're staring at a choice. It could be a huge career change, a tough relationship thing, or honestly, just what to do with your Saturday. And you just feel stuck.
Completely stuck.
So today we're diving into this really fascinating set of principles. It's called the Dharma of decision making, core principles and tools.
It's a really intriguing document. What's so interesting about it is how it blends these two very different worlds.
Right.
On one hand, you have ancient Eastern philosophy, dharma, karma, that kind of thing. And then on the other, you have these very modern, almost like corporate strategy tools.
Venn diagrams and pro-con lists. It's like
Yeah.
a monk and a management consultant wrote a how-to guide. It calls the framework simple yet profound, which, that's a bold claim. But the mission seems to be helping us move from that hesitation and fear classic analysis paralysis to clear principled action.
And it does that by shifting the focus. I mean, usually we obsess over the what, option A or option B.
Anyways.
This source material says, forget that for a second. Look at the how and the why. It's about your state of mind. If your mind is cluttered or toxic, the decision is going to be cluttered and toxic too.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The material starts with what it calls the core, or core loin. And the very first thing is right view Chan Kian. It says it's the absolute foundation.
That sounds a little heavy. What is that, really?
Yeah, right view isn't just like a religious term here. You can think of it as the lens you're seeing reality through. And the text is actually pretty aggressive about it. It says straight up, if you are hesitant, if you're paralyzed by the fear of being wrong, it's because you lack right view. You are not seeing things clearly.
Ouch. Okay, that feels personal. So my anxiety is basically a perception error. Precisely. And to fix it, it gives us a very specific reference point, a baseline. They call it the hakwicha. Before you do anything else, you ask 3 questions.
What are they?
Does this decision harm me? Does it harm others? And does it harm society or nature?
So it's a do no harm filter, like a Hippocratic oath for your daily life.
Essentially, yeah, it's the first gate you have to pass through. If an option harms any of those 3 things, it inherently lacks right view. The argument is that you're just planting seeds for future problems if you go down that road.
That makes a lot of sense. The hesitation usually comes when we're trying to justify something that we know deep down violates that.
Exactly.
But the source goes deeper. It introduces this idea of a compass, navigating between what it calls the 3 roots and the 3 poisons.
Yes, and this is where it gets really, really useful for like self-diagnosis. The source uses the terms 3 guk for roots and 3 up for poisons. It's a binary filter for your motivation.
So it's asking what's driving the car.
Is it being driven by the 3 poisons? Greed, anger, and delusion? Or is it moving toward the 3 roots?
Greed, anger, delusion, the classic villains.
Yeah.
But let's be real, seeing those in the moment is so hard. Greed can feel like ambition. Anger can feel like fighting for justice.
That is the eternal struggle, yes. But the rule it gives is incredibly simple. If you analyze your motivation and you find those poisons are operating, the advice is just let go.
Just stop. Don't act.
Don't act, even if the opportunity seems incredible.
Wow.
Because if the root is poisonous, the fruit will be too. But if it aligns with the 3 roots, things like wisdom, morality, then you hold on, you grasp it.
I love the simplicity of let go versus grasp. It's so visceral. But how do we stop tricking ourselves? I can rationalize anything if I want it badly enough.
Well, that's why the text then gives you a tool. It's a section on causal thinking, or thinking in cause and effect. It's 3 diagnostic questions to cut through your own narrative.
Okay, lay them on me.
Question 1 is, what mind is operating? You have to actually label the emotion. Is it fear? Is it jealousy? Is it excitement?
So instead of, this is a good career move,
Yeah.
I have to be honest and say, I'm doing this because I'm jealous of my friend's new job.
Exactly. You name the demon to tame it. Then, question 2, what is the core? So strip away the story. What is the essential nature of what's happening?
And the third one?
This is the most powerful one, I think. If repeated often, what is the fruit? It forces you to see this not as a one-off choice, but as building a habit, a trajectory.
Can you give us an example of how that works?
Sure. Say you're in a fight with a coworker, you want to send this scathing email.
We've all been there.
Right. So question 1, what mind is operating? Anger, ego, probably. Question 2, what's the core? You feel hurt and you want to hurt them back.
Okay.
And question 3, if repeated often, what is the fruit? Well, If you make a habit of this, you become a bitter, isolated person nobody wants to work with.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it that way, sending that email suddenly seems terrifying, not satisfying.
Precisely. You aren't just making a choice, you're building who you are. The fruit question reveals your character's blueprint.
Okay, so let's say we pass the test. We're not acting out of poison.
Yeah.
We still have a practical choice to make. The source then pivots to some very tactical tools. One is applying yin-yang.
This is a great one for getting objective. The rule is you have to list exactly 3 pros and 3 cons.
Exactly 3. Why not just
Yeah.
all of them? If I really want something, my pro list is a mile long and the con list is empty.
That's exactly why you do it. The brain loves to stack the deck. Forcing yourself to find 3 of each creates balance. It makes you look at the situation neutrally, not emotionally.
That's actually really clever. It's a constraint that breeds honesty. You have to dig deep to find that third con for your dream job, and maybe it's a deal breaker.
Right. And from that balanced view, you can use the next tool, which is the root knowledge Venn diagram.
Ah, the 3 circles. I've seen versions of this, like the whole ikigai thing. How does this source define them?
It's the intersection of 3 things. First, feasibility. Is it actually doable? Do you have the time, the money, the resources?
Makes sense.
Second, passion. Do you actually want to do this? And third, strength. Are you naturally good at it?
Feasibility, passion, strength. And if you're missing one, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. If you have passion and strength but no feasibility, you're just dreaming.
The starving artist.
The starving artist. And if you have feasibility and strength but no passion.
Yeah, the golden handcuffs. That's burnout waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Competent, miserable.
Exactly. A viable path has to be in the sweet spot, right in the center of all 3.
There's another tool here that I loved. It's about how we score these things. It talks about percentage thinking.
Yes. This is such a great defense against perfectionism. The text says use percentages instead of yes or no. It warns against absolutizing a problem.
That is a huge one for me. I always think, is this the right choice, yes or no? And if it's not 100% yes, I just freeze.
Which is completely unrealistic. Nothing is ever 100%. But if you can say, well, this option is about 70% feasible and 80% aligned with my passion,
That feels actionable. It gives you permission to move forward without perfect certainty.
it turns a crisis into a calculation.
Love that. So we've analyzed our minds, we've used the tools. Now we get to the actual process of finding the answer. This is the Von 2 cycle.
Right. Which translates roughly to learning, thinking, and practicing, or in this context, meditating. It's a 3-step loop.
So walk us through it.
Okay. Step 1 is intake, or Venn. You just gather information, you read, you talk to people, you look at the data, all the research.
Okay, pretty standard.
Step 2 is analysis, or 2. You think about it. You use the Venn diagrams, the pro-con lists we just talked about. You chew on it.
So far, this is just normal problem solving. Research, then think.
But then comes step 3. And this is the part that's different. It's silent meditation. Bin Ten Lung.
And what happens there?
This is the key. The source is very specific here. The answer often appears during the silence of step 3, not during the analysis of step 2.
That's so counterintuitive. I always feel like I have to think my way to the answer. Just, furrow my brow hard enough.
We all do. But this model suggests that the thinking phase just loads all the data into the system. It stirs everything up. The silence phase is what lets the mud settle so you can finally see clearly.
It's the shower principle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get your best ideas when you're not trying.
It's exactly that. Your brain needs to switch from active processing to passive synthesis. And the source says if the answer doesn't come, you don't force it. You repeat the cycle.
Oh, I like that. So you go back to step 1, get more info.
Get more info. Think again. Sit in silence again. It's an iterative process, which takes all the pressure off. You're not failing. You just need another loop.
Speaking of clear minds, this brings us to a section that, honestly, it surprised me the most. External factors, or what I'd call like biohacking the decision.
Tuckles. You could call it that, yeah. The source argues you can't make a big life choice if your body is stressed out or exhausted.
It lists 2 main things. First is nature. Get out of your toxic environment. Simple enough. But the second one, fasting. Newton.
It is unexpected, isn't it? But the logic is fascinating. The text connects fasting to yangizing the body, doing Ho.
Yangizing. What does that even mean?
Well, in Eastern philosophy, yin is sort of heavy, passive, sluggish. Yang is active, bright, clear. The argument is that digestion takes a huge amount of energy.
Food coma.
Exactly. That's a yin state. By fasting, you free up that energy. It makes the body more yang, and in turn, the mind becomes more lucid and clear.
So instead of stress eating a pizza while I'm trying to decide on a job offer, this thing says I should skip lunch.
Or even do a longer fast for a really bad life decision, yeah. It's about sharpening the instrument. If your brain is foggy from a sugar spike, your decision's going to be foggy.
That's a serious commitment to clarity. But I get it. I've definitely had my clearest thoughts when I haven't eaten in a while. There's a certain sharpness there.
It all comes back to that main idea. The quality of the decision depends entirely on the quality of the mind making it.
Okay, so we've done all the prep, we've used the tools, we've maybe even fasted. We make the decision. Now comes the hard part, living with it. The end of these notes focuses on attachment and release.
This is the spiritual capstone. It says that when you understand how causes and conditions converge, this idea of Nanduyen, you can pick up or put down a decision without getting stuck.
No attachment. That sounds nice and zen, but if I take a new job, I am attached to the outcome. I want it to work out.
Of course. But there's a crucial distinction here. It's the difference between focusing on the seed and focusing on the fruit.
Sowing versus reaping.
Exactly. If you decide to act, you focus 100% on sowing the right seed. You take baby steps. You focus on the input, your effort, your intention, your daily work.
And there's a warning here, isn't there?
A big one. The text defines greed operating as clinging to the result, the fruit, when you haven't done the work or you don't have the resources.
That's a powerful definition of greed. It's not just wanting more, it's wanting the result without respect in the process.
Precisely. If you're feeling anxious about a choice, it's usually because you're mentally living in the future trying to control the harvest. But you can't control the weather or the economy.
So the real dharma here is to plant the best seed you can, with the clearest mind you can, and then let go.
And then let go. That's the only way to act without suffering. If your happiness is tied to the fruit, you're gambling. If your satisfaction comes from planting the seed well, you're in control.
That is incredibly liberating. It completely reframes success. Success isn't, did I get the outcome? It's, did I plant the right seed with a clear mind?
That's it. The outcome depends on 1,000 things you can't control. The seed is the only part that belongs to you.
So to recap this whole journey, we start by checking our poisons, greed, anger, delusion. We use the do no harm compass.
Then we get tactical. The 3 pros, 3 cons list. The Venn diagram of feasibility, passion, and strength. We use percentages, not yes-no.
We take care of the machine, maybe go for a walk, maybe even skip a meal to yang-ize the brain, and then we use the loop. Intake, think, and then silence. We let the answer come to us.
And finally, we learn to detach from the result. Focus on the baby steps, sowing the right seeds.
It's such a complete system. It takes this mystical idea of following your gut and gives it a very practical user manual.
It really does. It reminds you that a correct decision isn't just the one that makes the most money. A correct decision is one made from a correct state of mind.
That's the huge takeaway. We spend so much time optimizing the spreadsheet and so little time optimizing the person who's looking at the spreadsheet.
Well put.
So before we sign off, I just want to leave our listeners with one final thought to chew on. It comes from that idea of the seed versus the fruit. If you're feeling anxious about a decision you just made, ask yourself this. Is the anxiety because the decision itself is wrong? Or is it because you're trying to eat the fruit before you've even finished planting the seeds?
That is a very, very good question.
Thanks for diving into this. We'll see you next time.
Take care.